He smashed the newly renovated kitchen with a crowbar, screaming in agony that he had survived for his family, only to feel betrayed. At that moment, his younger brother walked in and hugged him, but he pulled a gun and pointed it at his brother's head. Outside, the police arrived and ordered him to drop the weapon. The film opens at a U.S. Marine Corps training camp on October 7, 2007, 4 days before Captain Sam Cahill is deployed to Afghanistan. Before leaving, he writes a heartfelt goodbye letter to his wife, just in case he doesn't make it back. Sam gives the letter to a major, hoping it will never need to be sent. During a brief leave, Sam is shown as a devoted husband, living with his wonderful wife, Grace, and their 2 young daughters, Maggie and Isabel. In contrast to his model older brother, Sam's younger brother Tommy has just been released from prison after serving time for bank robbery. Sam picks Tommy up, and the two drive back to town together. Their home is filled with warmth as Sam's wife, Grace, prepares dinner to welcome Tommy. When he arrives, the door is opened by the younger daughter, who runs to her mother to say she doesn't like her uncle. Eventually, the whole family gathers around the dinner table, celebrating Tommy's return while also preparing to send Sam off to his deployment in Afghanistan. Their father, Hank, starts to lose his temper with Tommy, criticizing his criminal past and comparing him to Sam, who is serving the country with honor. Hank's constant tension eventually leads to an argument, and he storms out of the house in anger. Before Sam leaves, Tommy tells him to be careful. That night, Sam removes his wedding ring, and Grace threads it onto a necklace as a way to keep him close, whispering words of love. 5 days later, Sam and his team are driving across the Afghan desert. He records moments on his phone saying the place strangely feels like home. But the device is quickly destroyed when their helicopter is shot down and crashes. Meanwhile, back home, Grace is taking a bath when the doorbell rings. Her older daughter answers the door and sees 2 soldiers standing there, bringing the devastating news of Sam's death. Grace struggles to accept her husband's death. She constantly replays old videos of Sam and repeatedly calls his phone, leaving desperate voicemails. That night, a drunk Tommy stops by to return the car and is surprised to find Grace so overwhelmed with grief that she lashes out over a broken headlight. Through tears, she tells him the heartbreaking news about Sam. Having been out of touch all day, Tommy is the last to learn of the tragedy, and he breaks down, shouting that Sam should never have gone to Afghanistan. Tommy returns to his parents' house and sits alone on the porch. His stepmother comes out to invite him inside, but he refuses, saying he wants to be alone. Meanwhile, Grace gets the girls ready for the funeral, but both daughters refuse to wear black dresses. During the service, Grace receives the very goodbye letter Sam had once written. Later, Hank gets drunk, and Tommy has to wrestle the car keys away from him to stop his father from driving in a dangerous state. Hank continues to criticize Tommy and compare him to Sam, but this time, Tommy pushes back. He calls out his father for not being a good husband or father, and for forcing rigid military ideals onto Sam. After the confrontation, Hank quietly walks home. Meanwhile, Grace, overwhelmed with grief, can't bring herself to open Sam's goodbye letter and puts it away. The story shifts back to Afghanistan, where the Taliban are escorting 2 soldiers, Sam and Private Joe, who miraculously survived the helicopter crash. Both men have been captured and are held in a dark underground prison. Sam warns Joe to remain completely silent around the Taliban in order to stay alive. Meanwhile, back home, Tommy falls back into drinking. Drunk at 3 a.m., he calls Grace for help. He's short $47 to pay a bartender who's threatening to report him for violating his parole. With no other option, Grace bails out her pardoned brother-in-law in the middle of the night and brings him home. Tommy wakes up to noises in the kitchen. The 2 girls are trying to make pancakes to comfort their mother, who's still grieving Sam's death. When Tommy asks them to stop, Maggie pushes back, forcing him to get out of his chair. Hank shows up unexpectedly and apologizes for his behavior the night before. During their conversation, Tommy admits that Sam was always smarter than he was, but Hank points out that the real issue isn't intelligence. It's that Tommy always gives up, unlike his brother. In Afghanistan, Sam watches everything through a narrow gap between wooden planks in the Taliban camp. When he sees a helicopter flying overhead, he believes they're being searched for and starts banging rocks against the planks, trying to send a distress signal. Just as Sam tries to send a distress signal, he's threatened at gunpoint, and the Taliban place a large rock over the wooden planks to stop him. Meanwhile, Tommy remembers what his father said about Grace's outdated kitchen and suddenly decides to renovate it with his friends without telling anyone in advance. 2 months pass in captivity. Sam struggles to stay mentally strong, but Joe, the soldier captured with him, begins to break down, blaming Sam for saving his life. Joe believes living like this is worse than death. Despite it all, Sam remains determined not to reveal his identity or rank. When he hears the Taliban arguing, he reminds both himself and Joe not to give away any information. Eventually, it seems the Taliban have made a decision. The 2 American soldiers are loaded into a vehicle and transported to another location. Before moving the prisoners, the Taliban bring out an Afghan man and force him to kneel. He had used a satellite phone to call his pregnant wife, unintentionally revealing their location. He is executed on the spot. The Taliban leader declares that this is their country and tells Sam to deliver that message to America, or he'll be forced to do it himself. While Grace is still mourning her husband, the kitchen renovation continues. Tommy and his friends even get the 2 daughters involved. Together, they reminisce about Sam as a great athlete. During the work, Maggie accidentally spills paint on a bearded man, forcing him to change clothes. Grace goes into Sam's closet to find something for him to wear, but upon seeing the familiar keepsakes, she breaks down and clutches them in tears. Owen, the man receiving the clothes, is confused, unsure why he's being given so much and whether he should return anything. Grace slips back into her grief. Sam is tied to a post under the open sky, soaked with water, and forced to watch as Joe is tortured with a hot iron. Unable to endure the pain, Joe breaks down on camera, declaring that Americans don't belong here, sending love to his wife and children, and unintentionally revealing that Sam has 2 daughters. Meanwhile, Grace returns home and is surprised to find the kitchen fully renovated just in time for her birthday. Everyone close to her comes to celebrate, but the one person who matters most is missing. Winter arrives. During a walk, Isabel complains to Tommy that everyone seems to love Maggie more because she's cute. To comfort her, Tommy shares a story about how Sam once saved him from drowning in that very river. They go to the ice rink, where Grace is surprised to see how good Tommy is with kids. One day, Tommy visits the bank employee he once threatened during the robbery, hoping to ask for forgiveness. They talk for an hour. The woman shares that for the past 3 years, she's lived in fear and suffered from insomnia, constantly afraid the robber would come back. Tommy shares the experience with Grace, and she feels proud of how much he's changed. That night, they reminisce about their school days. Grace admits she never used to like Tommy because he was always drunk and getting into fights. As memories resurface and their eyes meet, a surge of emotion leads to a passionate kiss between them. Grace feels overwhelmed and decides to step outside for a while Tommy, unable to hold back his tears, eventually leaves. Though a lot of time has passed, Grace still hasn't opened Sam's letter. She quietly places it back in the drawer. Meanwhile, Sam and Private Joe continue to be tortured by the Taliban. One day, Sam is forced to hold a metal pipe and ordered to kill Joe, who had revealed information and was now seen as a burden. At first, Sam refuses, but when a gun is pointed at him and the Taliban mention his family, he's left with no choice. Amid the screams echoing through the camp, Sam beats Joe to death with the pipe, and the execution is recorded on camera. Tommy shows up at Grace's house saying he came to install a decorative panel, leaving her a bit uneasy after what happened the night before. He says he's happy to see the girls, and Grace responds gently. When Hank arrives, he's surprised by his son's craftsmanship. Meanwhile, the Taliban camp is attacked by U.S. forces. A leader attempts to kill Sam but fails and is shot, falling into a ravine. The chaos and explosions are captured on camera. In the end, Sam is rescued and collapses in exhaustion among his fellow soldiers. At home, Tommy is playing with the girls in the yard when the phone rings. Grace answers and is stunned to learn that her husband is alive. The whole family later goes to the airport to welcome Sam home. Tommy is happy, but a quiet sadness lingers beneath the surface. The two girls excitedly show off the new kitchen, saying Uncle Tommy and his friends fixed it for their mom. That night, Sam lies in bed, holding his wife and daughters tightly in a moment of reunion. Grace embraces Sam in the bathroom and kisses the scars on his body, but Sam is cold and distant, subtly implying that she should leave. It's clear he has changed after his time in captivity. Tommy reads the news about the death of Private Joe, the man Sam was forced to kill. Hank notices a change in Sam's behavior and recalls how he himself became distant from his son after returning from the Vietnam War. At the ice rink, Sam watches Grace and the girls happily spending time with Tommy. He thanks Tommy for taking care of the family and admits he never realized how strong Grace truly was. But then, unexpectedly, he directly asks if Tommy slept with Grace. Believing he had died, Sam thinks it could have happened and seems unwilling to believe any denial. Tommy and Grace seem like two teenagers in love. Private Joe's family visits Sam's home, and from a distance, Joe's young son is seen crawling along the sidewalk. The widow often dreams of her husband and of Sam, whom she resents for surviving while Joe did not. When she comes to ask for an apology, she asks Sam if he witnessed her husband's death. Sam lies and says he doesn't know anything. One night, Sam has a panic attack. He grabs his handgun, walks around the house, and arranges glasses as a way to control his anxiety. The next day, he goes to the military base and requests to return to active duty. When asked about his family, Sam simply says he can't stay because they don't understand him. No one does. Despite his inner turmoil, Sam tries to have dinner with the family. But when the kids joke around playfully, he loses control and snaps, saying their stories aren't funny. Grace tries to calm the situation, but Sam walks away. Isabel asks when Uncle Tommy will come back, clearly sensing the instability in her father. Grace wants Sam to open up about what happened in Afghanistan, but he becomes increasingly fixated on her relationship with Tommy. Even though Grace insists nothing happened, Sam remains convinced they slept together. Without saying another word, he abruptly leaves the house and goes to visit Private Joe's grave. That night, Sam returns home while the kids are playing in the yard. Isabel steps back in fear, but Sam gently embraces both daughters, reassuring them. The older girl fights back tears. Sam confides in Grace that he spent the night thinking about their family and realized how lucky he is to be alive. They hold each other in silence. That day also happens to be Maggie's birthday. The whole family gathers at Hank's house, waiting for Tommy. He shows up but not alone. He brings Tina, a girl he met less than an hour earlier. Hoping to lighten the mood, he's caught off guard when Tina starts talking nonsense and pretending to know about the military. Despite Tommy's attempts to stop her, she keeps going. Sam grows tense while the kids start getting noisy. Sam continues to scold Isabel, prompting her to express her jealousy, saying her younger sister is always loved and favored more. Trying to get attention, Isabel keeps squeezing a balloon over and over until Sam loses his temper and pops it. Hurt, Isabel lashes out, shouting that their mom wants to be with Uncle Tommy, not Sam, leaving the entire room in heavy silence. On the way home, no one says a word. Before bed, Isabel apologizes to her mother, admitting she was wrong for saying she didn't like her dad and wishing Uncle Tommy could take his place. Maggie quietly agrees. Sam sits silently in the living room and asks Grace if the kids said their prayers before bed. Suddenly, Sam stands up and starts smashing the new kitchen with a crowbar, shouting in anguish that he survived for his family, but now feels betrayed. He can't understand how Grace could be with his own brother. Though he still loves her and the kids, the guilt over what he did to make it back has broken him. In a fit of rage, Sam hits himself in the head, then continues destroying the kitchen. Just then, Tommy walks in and embraces him, but Sam pulls a gun and points it at his brother's head. Police sirens wail outside as officers arrive. Sam steps out, gun in hand. The police order him to drop the weapon. Sam yells, demanding to know why they're there. When they call him a war hero, he breaks down, shouting that they have no idea what he had to do. He presses the gun to his temple, consumed by despair. Tommy and Grace try to reach him, desperately trying to stop a tragedy. In the end, Sam throws the gun away and is taken into custody. In the days that follow, Grace helps the girls feel safe by sleeping beside them. She finally opens Sam's letter, a heartfelt goodbye filled with love for her and their 2 daughters. The words bring her to tears. Later, Sam calls Tommy from the veterans' psychiatric facility to apologize and try to mend their relationship. Tommy stays by his side. Grace and the girls visit Sam at the treatment center. Grace tells him she's loved him since she was 16, and that if he doesn't open up about what happened, she won't be able to stay with him. Moved by her plea, Sam finally decides to tell the truth. With tears streaming down his face, he confesses that he killed Joe Willis. Grace holds him after the confession. But deep down, Sam still wonders if he'll ever be able to live a normal life again.